Okay. Thank you. So he asked in the first two verses, the 8 questions. What is Brahman? What is Adhyatma? What is the self? What are the activities, that fruitive activities, and what are the material manifestation? And what are the demigods? So if for every question there is a Sanskrit word, right? Brahman is the Brahman. Who is a Brahman? Who is a self? I think it's the same, one and the same. So Brahman and self in this case. We'll understand that. What are fruitive activities, karma? What are the material manifestation, or the that is Adi Bhutam? And what are the demigods are the Adi Daivam? So we have heard about this verse Brahman in various ways. Brahman is, it could be the spirit soul. Actually, it is the spirit soul in this case. What is Brahman? Brahman is that person who is spiritualized his consciousness. And we are all Brahmans, right? The part and parcel of the Parabrahman. So we are all Brahmans in the minute quantity, in our realized state. Right now, we are covered, so we don't consider like that. But Brahman is the body, the self. We are all Brahmans. So what is that Brahman when we heard in the previous chapters of Bhagavad Gita? Brahman is that the spiritualized, the spirit that has been completely spiritualized. And we have also heard about that verse 424, where Krishna talks about Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva Deva Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhinaha. So what does it mean? So anything, in the person who is in the spiritual consciousness, his offerings, the instruments that are used in the offerings, the oblations, the sacrifice, the fire itself, and the place where the destination one goes is all spiritual. It's all Brahman. So that's the Brahman. It's still at the personal level. It's a material, not the material things that have become spiritualized. That is Brahman. So here the Brahman means that person, the spirit soul. What that Brahman here means, the spirit soul, the living entity. And what are the Adhyatma? The next is, what are the activities? Krishna says, Arjuna says, what are the fruitive activities? That is karma. Fruitive activities are karma, right? So karma can be defined as the work that we have, that we do. Simply, work is now a mainstream word also in the generic, people use karma, yoga. These are all Sanskrit words coming from ancient scriptures, but people use it very in regular language also, even the Western people. So karma is work. Karma is the duty, work, basically work. And then it can be another meaning is karma is the prescribed work. Prescribed work is, for example, the prescribed work of a barber is to cut the hair of the people. So that's a prescribed work. Prescribed work of a cook is to make food, right? That's a prescribed work. And and it can be also called as a fruitive activity. Fruitive activity is like karma kantic ritual. That is also karma. When we do some ritual, expecting a result by doing that ritual, that is also karma. So karma is 3 categories now. Karma can also be called as the reaction to something. When we do something, so karma's word change depending on the context, right? The karma can be also the reaction to something that we get. That's my karma. What do we say? It's my karma means it's a reaction to something that I have done. That's also karma. And also karma can be the entire chain of action and reaction. That's also karma, coined in one single word, karma. So karma can be termed in these ways, like the work itself, something you have to do our karma, like do our duty, not necessarily specific to anything. But then it can be prescribed duty, it can be fruitive activity, it can be reaction to the work itself, and it can be the entire chain of reaction. So that's karma. Krishna explains further. We are looking at that right away. Krishna explains later. And then what is the material manifestation? What is the material manifestation? That is Adi Bhutam. This, our nature that we have acquired in this world, that is part of the material manifestation, the psychophysical nature that we have gained in this life. We have a physical body and we have a nature that is very specific to us. So that is part of Adi Bhutam, right? Like if a work is given to a person, he will do it in that way, in certain way. If the same work is given to another person, he will do it in his own way. That is the nature that we have, right? We are very specific, and that's why Krishna likes each one of us. How do you know Krishna likes us? This question come up. Because we have our unique offerings to Krishna. Krishna likes us because we are individuals, and whatever we do is uniquely different from the other person. Right? That's why Krishna likes it. And that is specific to us. That's why Krishna likes each one of us. How do you know means? That is how it is, right? We same work if we say making a flower garland, for example. If two people are given, each one comes up with their own way, their own choice of flowers, their own setting, and the length, everything, depending on what comes to their mind. That is their nature. That is how they have learnt it, and it comes out. So each one is a unique offering. So Krishna loves that. So that's why even though we do small things, we do them in a unique way. And Krishna loves that. And that's what he's looking from us. He's not looking big things. He's only looking for the small offerings. You can do big things also, but whatever we can do for him in that unique and small ways, that's what he's looking at us, for us, from us. So that's karma, and that's adibhuta. That's adibhuta, like the material manifestation, that nature that we acquired in this world. That's the adibhuta. And then the next verse talks about what are the demigods, adi daivam. These are the demigods that are, the demigods, right? They are the adhyatma, adi daivam. Adi daivam is the demigods, but universal form is the total manifestation of all the devatas. All the devatas are part of the universal form of the Lord. We'll see that in this verse it is said here, but in the future chapters also, in chapter 11th also, Krishna speaks very elaborately about the universal. It displays to Arjuna the universal form. That universal form is comprising of the entire universe, and all the devatas form that body, are comprised of the body parts of the universe, and also the divisions of the society, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras. They are also comprising of the universal form of the Lord. So that is the Adibhuta, the total cosmic manifestation of the universal form of the Lord. Then Adi Yajna is the Lord of the sacrifices. He uses this word. Arjuna is asking, what is Lord of sacrifices? Adi Yajna. And how does he live in the body? So Adi Yajna is the Lord of the sacrifice. He takes all the sacrifices that we do. We also read about that verse 529, which is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasham Sarvalokam Heshwaram Sahadam Sarvabhutanam Gyatma Mam Shantim Rachati. So that person who is a benefactor of all the sacrifices, of all the material manifestation, all the demigods, that is the person, right? So that person is Adi Yajna, who is the enjoyer, who is the benefactor, who awards the results. That is Adi Yajna. And how does he live? He lives in the body of each and every living entity. He is that super soul, that Parabrahman that lives in each and every human beings and all the other living entities, not just the human beings. And what to speak, he also exists as atom, as the super soul within each and every atom. He exists as a minutest, smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest. Bigger than the biggest is the universal form, is the biggest. After the universal form that's a material representation of the Lord, universal form. He is bigger than the biggest. Smaller than the smallest matter that we are taught in this world is atom. An atom also has some more divisions like nucleus, protons, neutrons, and whatnot. But then the smallest, for calculation purpose, that's the atom. Now, atom is a small, and Krishna enters into each and every atom. That means he needs to become smaller than the atom and enter. Right? Maybe he can be called he stays within the nucleus, which is a small, like middle part of the atom. So, and then he talks about, let's go into the other verses before we continue everything in this verse itself. Maybe we can read the purport sections, so that will give us a little more insight. Am I sharing?
No, Mataji, I'm not sharing. I was about to say that.
Okay. Let's read. Second verse. Someone wants to read?
Can I read
I
the
can.
verse? Mataji, we read the translation, the purport, or?
The purport. We
The
already
purport.
read the translations and the verse.
Thank you. Lord of sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yajna performances. But here, Arjuna asks who is actually the Lord of yajna, sacrifice, and how the Lord is residing within the body of the living entity. Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are of the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna because Arjuna is a Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjuna here addresses him as Madhusudana so that Krishna might kill the demonic doubts that arise in Arjuna's minds. Now, the word prayana kale in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious to know of those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at that final moment? At the time of death, all the bodily functions are disrupted, and the mind is not in a proper condition. Thus disturbed by the bodily situations, one may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Kulikshekara, a great devotee, prays, "My dear Lord, just now I am quite healthy, and it is better that I die immediately, so that the swan of my mind can seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." The metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of the water, takes pleasure in digging into the lotus flowers. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus flower. Maharaj Kulikshekara says to the Lord, "Now my mind is undisturbed and I am quite healthy. If I die immediately, thinking of your lotus feet, then I am sure that my performance of your devotional service will become perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will happen, because at that time the bodily functions will be disrupted, my throat will be choked up, and I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your name. Better let me die immediately." Arjuna's questions how a person can fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at such a time.
Thank you. So I've highlighted some points here. So Arjuna is asking about Prayana Kala. Prabhupada has already expanded, giving more insight into Prayana Kala, although Krishna will do that in the next verses. Now, the word Prayana Kala is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. So that is that final examination of whatever we do. It has to be tested at the end of the life. So death is that something that will change our situation from wherever we are to whatever it has to go based on the activities that we have done throughout the life. So it's a change of the body, change of the consciousness also remains mostly same unless we change it over the period of this lifetime. But it's mostly change of the body, change of a situation, a particular situation. So that's death. So this 8th chapter talks about, in general, Bhagavad Gita is about how to live, how to love Krishna, how to live in this world, and how to live from this world. These are the three mainly topics that are spoken in Bhagavad Gita: how to live, how to love, and how to live. So this 8th chapter is shown by Krishna how to live from this world. And this word, Prayana Kala, Prayana means journey, Kala means time. So at the time of the journey. What journey? Journey from leaving this body to the next body. That's the journey. And here one significant prayer that a devotee, Kulashekara King, is the greatest alvar of his time, and he has wrote Mukundamala Stotra, which Srila Prabhupada has translated into English. And this comes up oftentimes in Bhagavatam and various scriptures, like how nicely he has composed these prayers. And one of that prayer is he's praying to the Lord, let me quit my body when I'm healthy, because when I'm healthy, I can remember you. The swan of my life, my mind can take the essence of your lotus feet. So my mind can get the essence, seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet. So let me die when I am in perfect health. When I am not in perfect health, who knows what will happen? I will not be able to. The body will be overcome by the kapha, vata, pitta, which is the three imbalances that we have, kapha, vata, and pitta. So one may not even just open their mouth. One may not even open their eyes. What to remember Krishna at that time? So it's a very nice, insightful prayer he makes to Krishna. So let me just, so that is so a devotee, how the destination of the devotee is determined. That's Prabhupada elaborately explains in the upcoming verses. So let's not cover everything here. So let's go to the next verse. Now Krishna starts to speak. Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavo Adhyatmamuchyate Bhutabhavodbara Bhutabhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Sanyitaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said the indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called karma or fruitive activities. One more verse he will explain to tell the remaining words. So Brahman is that indestructible and eternally existing, and its constitution is not changed at any time. We have seen from the second chapter Bhagavad Gita that Brahman or the living entity is neither destructible by what are the elements that cannot destruct the living entity, and what is that verse?
Na chainam kridyantapo na shoshayati marutaha.
Yeah. Nayanam chindanti shastrani.
Sorry.
Was it a memorization verse?
No.
Huh?
No.
Yeah. Nudal Mataji, you want to say?
Don't remember the full little bit here and there I remember, Mataji.
Okay. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shocayantyapo.
Maruta.
Yeah. So the water cannot fire, like all the elements. Fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, air cannot dry it. What else? And any weapon cannot cut it. So that's what Krishna says. So this is indestructible. That is Brahman. It does not change, but the body changes. And there is Supreme Brahman, Par Brahman. And what is karma? The varied creation by the force of material consciousness. Whatever activity we just heard, karma can be described in 5 ways. All that is karma. And in the Jiva, in the Vedic, maybe we can read. We will go through this passage. Yeah. Karma. Regarding karma, it is explained here. Let's read this. Some of you read the verse that I have highlighted. The part.
I can read, Mataji.
Please go ahead.
The Chandogya Upanishad describes the Vedic sacrificial process. On the sacrificial altar, 5 kinds of offerings are made into the 5 kinds of fire. The 5 kinds of fire are conceived of as the heavenly planets, clouds, the earth, man and woman, and the 5 kinds of sacrificial offerings are faith, the enjoyer of the moon, rain, grains, and semen.
So we have also heard about the cycle of sacrifice, sacrificial cycle. In which chapter did we read about that?
Chapter 3.
Right. Chapter 3 talks about the cycle of sacrifice. Like Krishna said, I have sent the grains and the scriptures in the beginning of the creation. Now just do the sacrifice, enjoy these and come to me. Gradually you come to me. Enjoy the offering, enjoy the benefits that I gave you, do some sacrifice and eventually come to me. So that's a cycle of sacrifice, right? Life cycle of a sacrifice, you can say. Now in the Chandogya Upanishad, that is elaborated, which is on the sacrificial altar, there are 5 kinds of offerings, which are, if you consider the heavenly planets, clouds, the earth, the man and the woman as the offerings, but these kind of fires, these are the fires, and the offering itself are the faith, the enjoyer on the moon, the rains, the grain and semen. So how this works is, so the living entity has some faith. So he goes to the by doing the regulative regulative activities, he eventually goes to the higher planets, which is the heavenly planets. Now there he enjoys for some time. Now after his enjoyment, which is the place where the moon, the enjoyer of the activities that we have performed, one reaches to that moon planet, right? We have heard that, we have seen that. In some scripture also it says that one who has done their prescribed duties nicely, they'll go to the moon planet, because in the moon planet, the highest enjoyment is there. They live for 10,000 years of the moon's calculation, not our calculation. It's a demigod, devata calculation. So they will live in that time, and then they enjoy the life. And after that, what happens? They have to come down, because this we'll see in the next verses of Bhagavad Gita, in this chapter only, how this entire place is not it is not a place, a permanent place. It's temporary. We'll see those verses. I don't want to give away everything in this itself. So it comes, it will be finished. The benefits that we have gained will be finished. So when they are finished, the living entity gets dropped. How it gets dropped is it literally gets dropped. When it is dropped, it becomes in as water or the cloud. You see the clouds, it is water bodies. So these are the water bodies. So that the living entity becomes like a particle, and it gets stuck in the cloud. And so the rain, it comes down on the earth. Rain falls on the earth. What happens on the earth? Earth generates grains. When the grains are eaten by man, right, the man gets energy and he discharges semen into a female's body. That takes the life and comes out. So this is the life cycle. So it's when you do sacrifices, you'll gain some benefits, but then you'll have to come down, and that chain repeats. And then you do more sacrifices, you do more prescribed duties, and you more kind of karmakandic rituals. And this, then you go up and up, go to the highest planet, and then enjoy. After that, sometime come down. This is the process. So this is how the entire thing is happening for 8.4 million species of living entities, and it is continuing. So this is karma. Just to explain karma, Prabhupada has quoted that. It's part of karma. Any burning questions on this topic?
Mataji, I have a question. Mataji, when like the living entity is like say on the moon planet, right, enjoying somras or whatever, at that time it doesn't have the luxury of doing bhakti, right? Like, I mean, that is just on planet Earth where you can pray for the love of like Godhead and Krishna Prem, or do people there also do bhakti?
They also do bhakti there. But
Oh,
it
wow.
becomes very non-conducive. It's not very conducive because there's a lot of enjoyment. You don't
Okay.
feel inclined to do bhakti with earnest. I mean, I don't want to comment like that, but the tendency becomes less to do bhakti
Okay.
because there are devotees. These are exalted people who have been given chance to rule the planet moon. It's not like ordinary people, like the conditioned souls of this material world, what we see around. They are very, very exalted. They have done a lot of bhakti. They have been given this chance. Now, they have been elevated, and the associates are also elevated there. Everyone does bhakti. Then they will be eventually elevated and they go back to Godhead. Because all these planets, even the moon planet, everything is part of this universe, which has to be done at the end of the time. That we will also see in the same chapter what happens, what is the time, life cycle of time and Brahma and all that.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes.
Quick question, Mataji. Here it talks about specific heavenly planets from where it comes down as clouds and so on. What about if somebody has gone to the lower planetary systems? How will they come into existence then through this cycle?
This cycle is for the people who are doing, performing the prescribed duties as per the scriptures. So they're going up. There are people who have not done any prescribed duties, but they have done some charity in a mode of ignorance. We'll also see everything is there in Bhagavad Gita when we read other chapters. So what happens to those people when they do more charity in the mode of ignorance, charity in the mode of goodness, passion, and so on? So these people who have done big, big charities and done people who are, they will go down to the lower planetary systems. These lower planetary systems are even more enjoyable than the upper planetary systems. In the upper planetary systems, there are devotees who are actually doing devotional service. So you'll see, like, associates who are doing that. In the lower planetary system, it's too much enjoyment. And it's very hard to come out of that. It's very, very hard. It comes in Bhagavatam, all this. It may be hard to digest that lower planetary system also has the enjoyment tendency. Yes, it has. They are even more beautiful than, they're very, very beautiful places to live. And that makes it very hard for the living entity, and they're perpetually in this material world. And they can, once their lifetime is finished also, they also have a bigger lifetime. Only Earth has what we have, 1 day, 24 hours, 1 day in 365 days, 1 year, like that. But they have different calculation in the upper and the lower planetary systems as we go down. And they will continue to live in that existence for a long, long time. And then if they get by chance some mercy, which is very hard to get in the lower planetary systems, if they get, then their thought process will change. So everything is based on the reflection of the desire. So this entire material world works. It's just like you see the water in your reflection in the water. So that water is that agent to which it reflects, right? Same thing. Desire is that agent which either puts you here, takes you up, takes you down, or liberates you completely, or takes you back to God. So we should have the desire. One time Prabhupada was asked, what should we do to get out from this world? Like, it's very hard. Like, what is that thing that they have to do? Prabhupada said, desire. Just desire to go back. Then things will change. Things will continue to open to manifest how the things will move. So desire is that thing. If you desire, I want to be here, who can help? You can be here forever. If you desire, I want to go up and get liberated, then Krishna will make all arrangements. Then you will act according to that. Right? You want to enjoy and do all that I'm doing within mode of ignorance only, fine. You'll go down to the lower planetary systems. There is a umpteen number of there's no sunlight also in some planets at Patala. Sunlight also doesn't go. But it is illuminated by the jewels. The jewels and these precious elements are there such that it illuminates, but it is not through sunlight. So that means it is a lot of enjoyment is there. And that is, you don't want to come out of it, then that's about it. You can be there perpetually. So that's how it works. It all comes in Bhagavatam. And the same topic, you have questions, we can continue on the questions.
Yes, Mataji, quick question. So, can you please repeat like what you said? The clouds are actually the living entities. I mean, when they come down, they form clouds and then rain happens, or what was that? I didn't get the link.
So when the Kshine Punya, like, once their Punya is Kshina, like it is over, they get dropped from the spiritual, the higher planetary systems, like moon planet or Indra Loka, Chandra Loka. Once their pious activities are finished, it's like account, it's like a balance. You have your money. Once account is finished, then you can't stay there because your piety is what keeps there. Once piety is over, they get dropped. They just get dropped. Living entity gets dropped and gets stuck in the clouds. A living entity. So the clouds are formed with the water because the water evaporates from the oceans. It becomes stuck in the clouds and that falls down. When it falls down, it goes onto the earth. Earth has a potency. So there are living entities that in that water that comes down on the earth and fall on the earth. So, and that they become grains. They take the shelter of the grains. The living entities take the shelter of grains. Now, this grain is eaten by the man, right? And the man puts semen in the woman's body, and that is how the life starts. That's how it is. It's said in the Chandogya Upanishad. It's not any concoction here. This is how it is done.
Okay, so the cloud that falls in the form of rain is like the living entity that falls is like some seed or what? It's the soul that falls, like the
Soul.
1 by
Exactly,
10,000.
exactly. The souls, not anything. Like the living entity, body won't fall. The
Yeah,
soul
but
draw. Yeah.
okay, okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up question on this regard. Anishita, about these questions. So the living entity, the soul appears as the grain or the plant body, something like that, because that's a soul, right? It has to be in a particular body, so it will be in the grain, and then it gets the new body.
For soul takes the shelter of the grain. Souls are eternally existing, right? They are there. The grains get produced. So super soul is there. So the soul that is there in this universe, umpty number of souls are around us. We don't see them because they are not visible, because it's very minute, like we know the size of the soul, but they are around, waiting for to take a shape of the body so that they can continue their journey from where it was left. So the devotees do this good cause of Sankirtan Yajna. And once one becomes a good devotee, then they will give opportunity for another soul who's also there in the universe somewhere and not finish their job. They will give the facility. We have also seen that in the last some verses somewhere. That the devotees, when we talk about Kamosmi, Krishna says, Prabhupada didn't elaborate, but we elaborated that the living entities, the devotees who can give that the karma, that they can also give opportunity for the other living entities to take birth and benefit them their life. So they take shelter of the grains, these living entities. So it can be eaten by people.
In the same paragraph, it's mentioned sexual offerings are faith, enjoy on the moon, rain, grains, and semen. What is the enjoy of moon? Mataji, I didn't got that.
Once a living entity goes there, because of the faith, he has gone up till there, and in the moon planet, he will enjoy. He'll enjoy because that's a facility, the piety that he has done, the karma kandic rituals or whatever he has done, it will bring him up to the planet of moon where he will enjoy the life. There also he can do devotion service and go only up. If not, he will come down once the piety is finished.
So living entity can go to any of the heavenly planets, right? To the any of the demigods planet?
Yes.
Not only the moon, right?
No. Indra Chandra, Prabhupada spoke about Indra Chandra. Various devatas, planets. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
So, Mataji, just following up on Vigyan Prabhu's question. So, does that mean that the souls who end up on the moon planet, only they are the ones who have to come back? Or is it like even the other planets, the Indraloka, or let's just say the sun planet, even they will have to come back, and moon is just an example here.
Example given, but every planet, they are all part of this universe.
Mhm.
They are not
Yeah.
beyond Brahma. They are all within Brahma. Brahma's
Mhm.
plan of the universe. So
Got
Brahma dies, we'll see that in this chapter. When Brahma dies, all these people, all these planets also will be there. They will
Right. Right. And one more stupid question. So I understand that soul can be in many forms. So we know that trees are living, humans are living, other species are living. But let's just say I talk about a table. And as we discussed, that soul is present in the minutest of the atom, right? So can we also say that anything non-living, for example, a table, a chair, even they are living? They also have a soul?
Their matter. Tree had a soul, it was cut. It cannot produce more branches, more twigs, more leaves, more fruits. So it's dead. So it has become a matter. It has a byproduct of the bark. It's a matter now.
So do they also need to be the soul in
Our soul is
these?
there, not the soul. So our soul,
Okay.
the living entities, Brahman, that's not
Mm.
there. But Parabrahman is there in each and every soul, each and every atom. And each and
Okay.
every atom is whatever you see around you comprises of innumerable, infinite number of atoms, right? Uncountable. So everything is an atom. If like even science tells that all these elements are here, all these things are here because the atoms that are binding them. Some are thick,
Yeah.
some are water is liquid form, the atoms in certain, when you read chemistry, you will see all that. So the molecules, the size and the shape, the matter, the hard tables are hard because they are certain the way they are dense, they are made. So there is matter, there is atoms. In each and every atom, there is Parabrahma. That is how
Yeah.
it is holding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they don't, so considering there is no soul there, it doesn't need liberation. It
Yeah.
is just as is.
Yes. Yes. It is inert. It's part of the Panchabhuta, eight elements that we are earth, water, fire, air, ether. It's part of that.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
Yes, Devi.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is more a realization based on Shalini Mataji's question about whether you can do devotional service in the hellish planets. Because Bali Maharaj, he was sent to Sutola by Vamadev when he gave those 3 steps. And then he was given, I think, the desire in Chaturmas. That's why they say that Lord Vishnu is sleeping because he's visiting Vamanadev. I'm not, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that he visits Bali Maharaj in his palace. And Bali Maharaj is also in the 8th Manvantara. He's going to be Indradev. So he's giving all of that. My question is, if he's a Mahajan, he's a pious devotee, why wasn't he taken to the spiritual world? Why did he have to become Indradev as in the 8th Manvantara?
There is a service for him. So devotees also, devotees say the change of the body is not the end of it. It's a change of the service. They have a service to do in this world, in this. So he has been given a service to do. He had a desire. He was a demon from the family of demon, and Vamandev became his doorkeeper. Then he has been sent to the Patala or wherever he is. Then from there he will get a service to do in the next lifetime, the next millennium, or the next day of Brahma.
Okay.
That.
So that means from a hellish planet, we can't go back to the spiritual world. You have to elevate yourself to a higher planet, and that's the only way you can go back.
See, when you fall down, you only fall down on the next step, right? When you're
Okay.
rolling from a staircase, imagine someone rolling is very bad, but you fall on the first step and they keep coming down. Similarly, when you're going up, where do you go? You won't directly go on the highest. You need
No,
to
you can't.
staircase.
Step by step.
Step by step. So, but then Prabhupada gave us elevator process, which is Krishna consciousness. We can eliminate all those steps and go directly back to Godhead. So that's part of the process. But then every living entity has some service to do, right? Like these are Mahajans. They've been identified to do some service because they need to run the universal executions or the workings of the universe. They need very, very qualified, elevated devotees who can do that role, that function, right? So that's such kind of souls are required.
So
Okay.
Mataji,
Thanks, Mataji.
sorry.
Krishna.
So that just made it clear how that's why Prabhupada also came to this world as a service, because that was a different service that he was allocated.
Yes, it's all service, change of service.
That is a great statement. Never realized it that
It's
way.
not my statement. Kadamba Kanan Maharaj, when he was given some time by the doctors, I hope you all know, he left the planet 2
Yeah.
years now. It will be March.
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah. So he said, it's a change of service. I've been doing this service. It's a change of service for him. Look at his consciousness, such elevated. He was looking death as a change of service.
Yeah.
So it's very profound, right?
Wow. Thank you.
Okay. On the same topic?
Yes, Mataji, kind of related, but so I just had a dream last night. And I was dying in that dream. So, yeah. And I was thinking about it this morning, so I just want to share. So I was dying, and I can remember that in when I was dying, I realized that there is no way I can get out of this situation, and I have to die, right? And I started chanting, and I was happy that I was chanting. But then I did not die. I somehow was saved. And then, but I was still in the situation that I can die if I don't do anything now. And then I was like, I have to get out of this. I did not. So the weird realization there was that the moment I realized I'm dying, I started taking the name because I think that's what I learned in this process. But the moment I realized I can live, I tried to save myself. The intention was not that, but now okay, I'm ready to die. I want to die. It was like now I was only ready to die when I realized I have no choice. And that moment I was trying to save myself and not still remembering Krishna. It was such a weird realization. You made the statement which said you have to desire to go back. I'm not sure if I was desiring there to go back or I was just following the process that I've been following, that just take Krishna's name when you're dying. Such a weird thing.
It's not weird, right? So even if we know that we see, nobody wants to face death because that's a very sobering, very highly elevated people will embrace death in that way, how they've shown the path for the rest of the world to follow. But generally, death is not easy to accept because it's a changing of everything, right? The changing of situation, the family members, our possessions, our name, fame, everything. So it's a very hard thing to do. Even if you know that you'll go back to the moon planet, still people will be hesitant because they don't want to change it. So it's like that. But then we know that if we chant, remember, this is like Ajamil's story, right? We'll probably go through Ajamil's story when we go through next verses. So yeah, that's nice actually. It's not a weird realization. It is a bona fide realization only. Oh dear.
Can I also add something, Mataji? I came late to the class, but your question, this reminds me of your question from last week. What are our shelters in moments of distress? And when I attended the webinar, they said that if you think of Krishna as your protector, if you depend on Krishna, that's humility, because you know you can't do anything without the Lord's mercy. But if you think you can do it yourself, that's pride. And so pride keeps you furthest away from Krishna, and humility brings you closer. So Palak Mataji's dream about chanting the Lord's name was bringing her close to Krishna. But when she wanted to think that she's capable of keeping herself safe, that's distancing yourself because you're thinking you have the superpower to protect yourself, vice versa of Krishna's mercy, that you're able to have the ability to protect yourself. So this just reminded me of your
Right.
question from last week.
Thank
Thanks, Debbie. We'll go to the next verse, fourth verse. Adibhutam क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चादिदैवतम् आदियज्ञोऽहमेवत्र देहे देहावृताम्बरा. Or best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of the sun and moon, is called Adideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yajna, the Lord of Sacrifice. So the physical nature, we discussed about that point, how the physical nature is unique and it is changing also, constantly changing. We go through the physical body comprises of these 6 stages, right? They are born, they grow, they remain for some duration, they produce the byproducts, they dwindle and they vanish. You've seen that in the earlier, I think in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, this point comes. The living entities or anything material bodies, they come into being, they stay, they grow, they stay for some time, produce the byproducts, they dwindle and they vanish. So this is a physical nature. It's part of the Adibhuta. Adibhuta is that material constant changing nature. And then the conception of universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods and the different planets, is called Adidaiva. So Adidaiva is that still it is material conception because for the devotee does not want the material conception, which is a universal form of the Lord. Devotee is not interested in that. When Arjuna was shown the universal form, he said, "It is so ghastly. I can't see this. Please change it." Then he turns into 400 form and finally into 200 form. So devotee likes the 200 form of Tribanga, 200 form of the Lord. We like and we want to see that form and worship that form. But whereas the materialists, so if they may say that where is God? If you know God is there, why can't he show himself to us? So to show such people, Lord exists in the form of universal. And there are descriptions to how this universal manifestation is, which is comprising of all the demigods and all the planetary systems also part of the universal form. And also the four sections of the society, which called the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. These are the upper, like the head of the universal form is the Brahmanas, arms are the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas are the thighs, and the Shudras are the legs of the universal form. And then there are different body parts also that describe different body parts of the universal form. And also the demigods. Like the sun and moon are described as the um, eyes of the Lord, the universal form of the Lord. Then the hands are these Indra, Chandra, Varuna, like different demigod as a form also. Like they are part and parcel of the Lord. That's how the devatas are. They are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they form the various uh, parts of the Lord's universal body. So that is how it is. So these are the demigods, and their different planets are called. They are Adidaiva. And the super soul is a Paramatma, that is Adi Yajna. He's situated. We saw he's situated in each and every. We heard that he's part of the soul and also exists in each and every atom. That is how he exists. How does he exist? Is a question Arjuna asked. He exists as a atom inside the each and every particle. Because the gigantic form of the Lord called Adideva is contemplated by the neophyte devotee who cannot approach. So they need something tangible, right? If you say Lord exists and he exists in the form of two-handed form Krishna, they don't want that. Like they want something which is that they can perceive. Like the entire world is the universe of the body of the Lord. Like the oceans are the water that comes out of the body pores, and the trees are the hairs on the body of Mahavishnu, the bones are the mountains, like that. They relate what they see in this universe as the universal forms body parts. So they need that. So they are in the neophyte category. That's what Prabhupada says. The gigantic universal form of the Lord, called Adi Devata, is contemplated by the neophyte who cannot approach the Supreme Lord and his manifestation as a super soul. So they don't even have the super soul conception. So they see everything as Brahman, like, impersonal Brahman, that type of Virata Purusha comes. So Krishna has answered all the seven verses, seven answers, seven questions for which he has provided answers in those two verses, third and fourth. Now in the fifth one, he talks about the Antakale or Prayana Kale and the rest of the chapter. So it starts with the fifth verse is Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastatya samshayaha. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So this is the process how to leave the world. Krishna is saying how to leave. Whoever quits his life at the end, remembering me alone, they will attain the nature of the Lord. There is no doubt. So the next verses talks about how one can remember. So whatever we practice in this world, in this life, that's what we will remember at the end of the life, right? Can it be anything else other than what we practice? People may make plans that, okay, at the end of the life, I will remember Krishna. I will ask someone to remind me of Krishna. Maybe I'll do something practically to remember Krishna at the end of life. They want to defy the principles that exist in the world, like what you do in the whole life is what you remember at the end of the life. So it's simple also for the students who study throughout the school year, academic year, then they will know how to write the exam well. They will probably have a better chance to write the exam well, rather than the person or the student who does not study. He doesn't prepare anything. So it's the same thing, right? So what you remember throughout the life is what you will remember at the end of the life. So this life, if you don't struggle remembering Krishna throughout the life, it's very hard to remember Krishna at the end of life. Prabhupada says that in one of the verses, in upcoming verses. It's very hard. If we don't struggle to remember Krishna, that's why we need to constantly or intermittently remember Krishna. We are in the devotees in the practice stage. We have not mastered this art of remembering Krishna throughout, because we don't know how it is. We are conditioned. Like the gopis of Vrindavan, they struggle to forget Krishna. They are constantly in remembrance of Krishna. They struggle. Oh, let this person be out of my mind. Let me have some. That's how devotees, gopis are. They can't forget Krishna even for a second. Right? And they pray to Brahma to why he has created the lids on the eyes. Because when they blink their eyes for that nanosecond, they can't see Krishna. So they are blaming Brahma for that. They can't see Krishna for that much time. So that is their consciousness. They're constantly seeing Krishna. They're constantly thinking of Krishna, remembering Krishna. For them, it is very easy. For people like us who are conditioned, remembrance of Krishna does not come that easily. So we need to make a practice. The practice of remembering Krishna throughout the day at certain intervals. Mornings, because they are in the mode of goodness time, maybe it is easy. Evening, because we know we have to do, maybe it is easy, but throughout the day, it is not hard. So the homework for us for next week is to remember Krishna at the intervals and practice that. Come up with your own schedule of remembering Krishna at various times through the day, because that's the day when we are most forgetful of Krishna also. Maybe some of you are remembering by chanting, but not, it comes automatically for most of us. So let's practice remembering Krishna at certain intervals of the day and see how it goes. And that is not like a next week activity, right? It's an ongoing activity. So there are some exercises that we identify for lifetime. Then we keep adding to it. So let's take this as a homework. Can someone put this on the chat? Who wants to put?
I can put it, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. So say that we need to practice remembering Krishna to some intervals. Come up with your own schedule of how to remember, and maybe share some reflection how it worked and how you want to keep doing it. It's an ongoing thing.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. In this verse, importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. So Smaran, remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. So if we don't struggle to remember Krishna, it will be impossible to remember Krishna at the end of the life. And Krishna Prabhupada is saying remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced doing this throughout their life. How is it possible for them to remember Krishna? And Prabhupada quotes Hare Krishna Mahamantra twice in this verse, in this purport. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. One wants to read this? Anyone wants to read the rest of the paragraph from here?
I can read, Mataji.
Please go ahead.
From
Yeah, remember,
remem-
you can start.
remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree, Tarorapi Sahishnuna. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, so that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness.
So, Lord Chaitanya also says that, what is that verse Lord Chaitanya has propagated?
Trinadapi suni chena tarorapi seshuna amanina manantena kirtanya sada.
Yeah. Only one who is tolerant than a tree. What is that translation? For a person who is
As humble as blade of grass
that
and
stand.
tolerant as tree, and who neither expects but respects everyone.
He can constantly remember Krishna. That's the qualification. That is when we can remember Krishna constantly. And there will be impediments, right? When we are chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada, one has to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra very attentively, so that they can hear each and every syllable. Because we see, when we try to remember Krishna artificially, it becomes artificial only. Okay, Krishna has this form, he is blue in color, and he has a peacock like that. It becomes artificial. And the best process recommended in this age of Kali is to chant Hare Krishna attentively and thereby realize Krishna. So let's start with the practice of remembering Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra attentively. When we do that, the sound vibration enters. It doesn't be, and it should not be mechanical also. We are just vibrating from the mouth and hearing from the eyes, through the ears. There has to be, when this process happens, what happens is mind has at the max do two things perfectly. That's why when we are chanting and when mind wanders, we stop hearing. So mind does two things perfectly. What are the two things it can do? Chanting, we need mind, and hearing, we need mind. So if we lock the mind in these two processes, chanting and hearing, it gets locked. Now when you not hear the mantra and start thinking something, you're chanting and thinking something. So there goes the mind, then you are not hearing. So it only does two things perfectly. And if you can lock on these two things, the mind, then you will get that practice of hearing the syllables, each and every syllable distinctly, and then remembering Krishna that way. So we need to chant and hear the Maha Mantra. And when this is done with the heart, otherwise it will be still mechanical. When you are hearing and chanting, will be still, okay, have I heard each and every syllable? Yes, I did. It can be still mechanical if you don't put your heart, because the faculties may be lost from us at some point. We may not be able to chant with our mouth, and may not be possible in all the circumstances of life. So what's the best way to chant is to chant with the heart. When you put the heart, even though you are not chanting with the sound coming out, you're still chanting. So we need to master that. We need to try to get good at it, to chant with the heart. Sound has to come, ear has to hear, heart has to be involved. When these three things are happening, then the Lord will slowly things will change. Things will change in such a way that you will experience the purification of the heart more. When the purification of heart happens, Krishna would like to sit in that heart, not in any heart which is impure, right? The purification, there are verses in Bhagavatam we have heard also in the earlier when we were reading purports that Krishna Prabhupada speaks about a section of verses from the second chapter of Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Canto 1, Chapter 2. Shrimatam Swakata Krishna Punyashavana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi abhadrani Vidunoti Suratsata Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Chetayeter Anavittam Sitam Sakte Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Siddhate Hridaya Granthi Siddhyante Sarva Samshaya Shriyante Chasya Karmani Tasya Evan. I'm forgetting that was. So this is a process by hearing attentively hearing the Bhagavatam and chanting the Maha Mantra, the purification of the heart, and the process has been described. So we'll experience all those things for ourselves when we do all these processes of hearing attentively Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and chanting and reading the scriptures on the side by side, this purification of the heart will happen, and Lord will reside in the heart and will cut all the knots of impurities and hridayagantis he will cut, and such heart will be a nice offering to the Lord. We can make our heart as a nice offering to the Lord. And that heart, once it has made, Krishna will remind us at the end of the life, even though our position might not be such that we will remember, but Krishna will not forget us. Yes, Palak, Mataji.
Lalaji, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your tips on attentive chanting. That's what I've been thinking for quite long. What can I do? So, sound, hearing, and heart. I think I get that. But there's another hurdle that I feel currently, which is that it feels like a process. It's not like I want to sit for chanting. I do it because it's advised and it's recommended. I do it out of that, not because I want to. So, how do you reach that stage? If you can share anything from your personal experience.
Like see, for us to chant, our heart, when the heart is involved, nothing can stop us from doing anything. That's a practical experience. Each one will have our own ways and things in which we have put our heart. Our heart automatically flows into that, and you continue to focus on it and you do it. So when the heart is, that's why I said it is mechanical until that point. If you just only hear and chant, if the heart is not there, it'll be like that. It will be dry. We will just hear and we'll chant. Sound will come, here will hear. Without the heart, it will become a mechanical process. Once you start putting the heart in it, do it with your heart intently, earnestly, pleading Krishna, let me chant and hear your name. You make a prayer constantly with your heart as you're chanting. Then once you get the hang of that, it will be hard to lose the grip of the chanting at that time. It is a struggle. It is not easy. It is never an easy process because we are all in the process of making as devotees. We are not perfected. We are not reached the stage of gopis, right? Gopis, I told, it's hard for them to forget Krishna. For us, it is very hard to remember Krishna. So we are still in the process. So we need to, it's a struggle. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, any impediments, you need to keep encountering them. Tolerating all the impediment is not getting taste. The impediment is losing. Impediment is distraction that we see around. Impediment is the thoughts, the planning that goes while chanting, planning for the day, planning for cooking, planning. That is my experience also. That's why this is coming out very naturally. Planning happens. These are all impediments. We need to tolerate. Bring the mind back. Okay, it goes, but we need to bring the mind back. Keep bringing the mind back. Keep bringing the mind. That's the struggle. If you don't struggle this is the struggle that we have to do. And Prabhupada says in the next 2 verses, if you don't put your heart in this struggle, then you cannot remember Krishna. We need to struggle. Chanting is like probably at the end of chanting, struggling, hearing, it may be like, oof, such was a struggle. Like I struggled so much to chant. If that is the case, then it's good. After chanting, you say, okay, I'm done. I just chanted, I'm done. If you were not feeling the struggle in it, then that means your chanting was not attentive. If you feel that you have struggled a lot in chanting, it wasn't easy to chant. It was a struggle. I was trying to remember, but my mind was going. I'm bringing my mind back. Oof, at the end of 2 hours, it's a struggle. If you feel that, that's good because you have made that attempt. Krishna is looking at our attempts. Remember, Krishna is looking at our attempts. How many times we fall down and we pick up. That's what Krishna is looking. Krishna will not look at the amount that you... Okay, in this case, Krishna is looking at your efforts. How many times you have fallen. How many good rounds you have chanted. Probably Krishna is not looking at that. How many times you have fallen and how many times you have picked up yourself to be able to chant well is what Krishna looking at. It's a struggle that Krishna, and he awards that. To Mother Yashoda, he was looking at the struggle she was going through and he awarded, okay, let me get tired. That is the award he gives. And when it comes, that small mercy tokens that we experience, you feel that ecstasy in the heart. Okay, I'm chanting. It's so nice. It's like I don't want to leave this. There's nothing in the world that I can exchange this for. That's the mercy you'll experience for such small tokens. Again, it will go. Krishna keeps giving it, keeps taking it back. It's your mind also, part of it. It's not Krishna all the time. Krishna wants to give, but our mind goes away for a second somewhere. Material nature is very hard. Remember the 14th verse of 7th chapter. Mamevaye prapadyante ma. It's very hard. She's very strong because she is the devotee of Krishna. She is our duty, doing her duty perfectly well. And we need to prove it to Krishna. We want to do our duty well also. And there's a struggle between us and Maya. And Krishna will help us. Krishna will help all his devotees. That is Krishna's merciful nature. I think we still
Okay,
have to
Mataji.
cover one more verse. Yam yam vapi. Text 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajati ante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he keeps his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So Krishna told about, remember Krishna at the end of you will attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Now when Krishna says something, whatever Krishna states, we should take it at the face value. Just take it. Now when a Krishna is stressing that samshayaha, no doubt that you will come to me or attain my nature, that means there's absolutely no doubt in that. So Krishna, when he says something only, we should just take it. When he says samshayaha without astina atra samshaya, that means no, don't you doubt. So that means it's like cast in stone. It is cast in stone, but you can make it like, like that. So it's perfect. It's absolute when he says. Now after saying that, he says, now if you don't remember me, you'd remember something else. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajati ante kalevaram tam tam eveti konteya sadatad bhava bhavita. You will attain that stage. Just like how Bharat Maharaj, the process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death here is explained. So if you remember something else at the time of death, you will attain that stage. Example is that of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was a great devotee. He gave up his kingdom and came to forest to do pure devotional service, uninterrupted and unmotivated devotional service. He went to the forest and then he was executing. And unfortunately, he came across a deer and he got attached to the deer. A small baby deer, the mother died. Small baby deer, he got attached and he was taking care of it so much so that he has left his devotional service. He has stopped his practices. When he did that, in the next life, when death came to him, he only remembered the deer and he became deer in the next life. So Krishna's promise is, whatever state of being one remembers when he keeps his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So it's a little dangerous situation, but that is why we need to practice. So there is a chance that we may not remember Krishna at the end of the life if we don't practice, right? One may think I will practice and I will do, but there is a chance that we may not remember Krishna for an ordinary people. But for devotees, Krishna ensures that they remember him somehow or the other. He will send devotees. There are practical examples how things have happened. One devotee, it was some few years back, he was in Florida, very, very nice devotee, practicing all the things, also doing some study circle with the youth group and all that. Like he was a very, very nice devotee. And he was going on the road on the cycle. He was hit by a car and the car left, sped away. And he was on the deathbed on the road. And he was nobody there. Nobody knew it was because it's on the road. Nobody who will know that this happened to a devotee. You know what happened? He fell in the front of a devotee's home. That accident happened in front of a devotee's home. And the devotees saw this happened, the accident happened. They came out and they started to chant for him on the road until the police came. And that took a time. It was, some locality where it was not easily accessible or what. So the devotees chanted for him on the ground, on the road. He was on the pool of blood, struggling, maybe unconscious, but devotees were chanting, and he left the body on the ground there. So see how Krishna nicely arranged for that devotee. Who knew that it would happen, that he would go on the road and he would get struck by a car, and but this happened and Krishna arranged for the devotee. So there are many, many such examples. So one should remember that Krishna will never fail his devotees. That's also there. But we also should know that we will attain to the same nature that we remember at the end of the life. And that perfect example is Bhat Maharaj. Bhat Maharaj is a case study. Krishna arranged for this also, we can say, because he wanted to teach the rest of the world how this can happen. Krishna has to teach Krishna teaches everything, right? He is teaching how things work this way, how things also work in the other way, right? He's a teacher. He has to teach. So not he has that, he has to teach. He teaches out of his own compassionate nature. So by giving the exalted devotee some opportunity for service, he makes these concepts clear to the rest of the people. In the case of Bhat Maharaj is a devotee who came up to the stage of Baba. He was just about to get prema, that stage. And then he fell down from that stage. So who would he choose to prove that point, that devotees even at the stage of Bhava can fall down if you're not careful on the path of devotion service? Who would he choose? He would not choose an ordinary devotee who's practicing, struggling, and say that you will fall down, because he will anyway fall down. He has to not, he probably will go make only a few steps ahead, not go up till a prema. That is very clear to us that he will only go to the next step. But to who will he take as example and prove that if you at the stage of bhava and will not be careful in performing devotional service, you will fall down, is only devotee of that caliber. So he chose Bharat Maharaj to prove that point, that devotional service is like a razor. A doctor's blade will operate and fix the devotee person's body to get into the healthy condition. At the same time, the same razor can kill the body, can award death to someone. So it's like that. Devotional service is like a razor. So if you use it, you will go to the next stage. If you don't use it, you will fall down from that stage. And this is the example that of the Bhakti Maharaj. So we should remember, one of you read this purport. I think it's a small, we only have to cover 6 verses, so we are good on the time. Maybe read the entire thing.
I'll read, Mataji.
Please go ahead.
Translation as well?
No, the purport.
Okay. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of Supreme Lord, but it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than the Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in a proper state of mind? Maharaj Bharata, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. So in his next life, he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although as a deer, he remembered his past activities, he had to accept the animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred into the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life.
So Bharat Maharaj was given a chance to become a deer in the next life, but Krishna never left him. He did not degrade from. So for a deer animal life, there is no karma first of all, and they will only make progress to the next higher conscious animal, right? That is a cycle of evolution of the consciousness of the living entities. So they'll go from to some other animal, but that's not what Krishna gave to Bharat Maharaj. He protected his devotion, right? Even though he became a deer, the deer did not mingle with the other deers, and he was with the devotees. He lived his life. He did not go into the forest with other deers. He lived with the devotees, heard their messages on Krishna Katha, and also ate only their remnants. And that's how he became Jada Bharat in the next life. So King Bharat, Dear Bharat, Jada Bharat. In the body of Jada Bharat, he perfected his life and he went back to Godhead. So it took 3 lifetimes. So one falls down. See how many lifetimes. Even in the case of Jada Bharat Maharaj, it took 3 lifetimes to go back to Godhead. That means there's a lot of work on our part to do. There's a lot of work. So we have a long way to go to make life perfect. It doesn't have to be that long way, but from what Prabhupada has been teaching us, we can perfect our life in this one lifetime also, depending on our efforts and our consciousness, our activities in the service of the Lord. So that's what up until 6 verses are. 7th verse onwards, I think we should do 7th verse today or next class. I thought it is next class verse.
It's next class, Mataji.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments or reflections? Yes, go on.
Mataji, regarding the remembrance at the end of life, Lord has clearly mentioned whatever one remembers in the next verse, right? He will attain that state. And if he remembers Krishna, he says in this verse, he will attain to Lord's abode. So what about the impersonalist or the Brahmavadi? They want to attain Brahma Jyoti. So how they attain Brahma when they don't remember Krishna? Krishna says if one remembers something else, like in Bharat Maharaj's case, it attains that particular form of body. So how one attains Brahma? So
Brahman
just wanted to
means?
be clear. Yeah, on Brahma, they merge into Brahma Jyoti, right? Those who are impersonalist. So what they think and how they are into Brahma. I just was curious about this.
So impersonal is like, everything is Brahman. Like we know what their conception is. Lord doesn't necessarily exist in his temple, in his 200 form. He is everywhere. Is that the effulgence that we see, that Brahma Jyoti, that is the Lord. That is their thought process. That's how they have trained their minds and themselves. So when they go back, their liberation means to going back into that effulgence. So as we move up beyond the material coverings, there is the Brahman effulgence layer beyond the coverings of the universe. So beyond the coverings, so the earth has 14 planetary systems, like I said, up 14, 7 down, so 14, sorry, 7, together 14. And beyond the universe, there are coverings of the universe made of earth, water, fire, air, ether also. These are the coverings that is made. And each one has a length double the previous one. Earth is the first covering, followed by earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Each one has a layer which is double the size of the previous one. And this goes in thousands of yojanas. One yojana is 8 miles, one yojana. And you can extrapolate that. So the universal covering comprises of these layers. And beyond that layer is the Brahman effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, that effulgence place. And these souls will go to that place. Because there is no service for them, devotional service is what Prabhupada has been teaching us. Hearing about Krishna, remembering his pastimes, chanting his names, doing some service to Krishna, and eating Krishna Prasad. This service is eternal service. It is not just right now we will do in the perfection also, the same service. It's the same service, much more purified, much more at the absolute level. But because there is no service in the impersonal effulgence, they cannot sustain themselves, because the soul needs something to sustain. The body needs food, soul needs the sustenance of the service. We need to do something, some service. So because there is no service for the soul in impersonal effulgence, they can't remain there, they fall down. They fall down to the place, again into the material world, different planetary planets, or maybe into the earthly planet, and then they become these people who do service in the form of improving the society, humanitarian work, and whatnot. So everyone needs some service. Because they have not gotten the conception of the Lord, they get the conception of everything is the Lord. So if I serve this everything, I'll get the Lord, is what their conception. So they become humanitarians, probably. Prabhupada has spoken about it in his purports, various places. Is that clear, Prabhu? Is that okay?
So that means they will be thinking of Brahma, so they will reach the Brahma, but definitely without the service, they cannot stay longer.
Right,
They will come
right.
back.
Yes.
So I was just curious that at the end of life, they think of Brahma or how they attain the Brahma Jyoti.
They
Because
think about the Lord as the Brahman. Oh, the Lord as the Brahman, not as the person. They think him as a effulgence. They think him as the Jyoti, not as a person. Like that.
okay,
Does that help?
thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Yashita Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. I forgot my question. 1 minute. It was related to Began Prabhu's question. Oh, yeah. So, when we say that this, mm, when they go to Brahma Jyoti, they also have a chance of falling down. But what about like those, because there are other Vaikuntha planets where Lord Narsimha has a planet of his own and all those have a planet. So if someone goes to Lord Narsimha planet, then they also have a chance of falling down, or what do they do there? And then they reside eternally there, or they can also go to Golok Vrindavan after going to this Narsimha planet.
So beyond the Brahman effulgence is the effulgence of there is would have seen those pictures that ISKCON has.
Hmm.
You can see
Yeah.
that and try to relate. So beyond the
Hmm.
coverings, there's Brahman effulgence. I think Devi Dham is there beyond that. Devi Dham, Mahamaya. And beyond that is Sadashiva Loka. Beyond that are umpteen Vaikuntha Lokas, where the living entities who have the mood of serving Vishnu, Tattva, in such mood, they will go back to Godhead. Now, Vishnu Loka is part of the spiritual world. Although Goloka Vrindavan is the topmost, like a lotus on the top of everything, where Krishna resides along with associates. But all the other Vaikuntha Lokas are also part of the spiritual world. One who reaches those Vaikuntha Lokas, there is no return from that place. Okay? So don't have that conception that other Vishnu Tattvas, people can fall down from there. It is not. It is part of spiritual world. They are in the spiritual world. And they have developed that mood of service to the Lord. Then they go to that planet. So we are only looking at our earth. Within the Bhumandala, there are other places, there are Varshas, it's called. Okay? Maybe I'll bring that information to tomorrow's class if I remember. But there are other Varshas where the different people are doing devotional service to the Lord in different forms of the Lord. Like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj worships Lord Nrsimhadev. They are in one Purusha. They are in one Varsha. Not in Bharata Varsha. We are in Bharata Varsha. They are in another Varsha. So they are doing devotional service to Lord Nrsimhadev. It is eternal. They are eternally worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev. And see, when you develop a particular mood to a particular deity, it is for good. It's not like we may think that because of, we have not seen that because of our material conceptions, we think that we are changing that mood into another mood. If you ask Hanuman to worship Lord Krishna, will you do?
No.
Will you worship Lord Krishna? No. He is there in Kimpurusha Loka, Varsha, constantly worshipping Lord Rama. Say that again. Someone said? Okay. So he is in the Kimpurusha Varsha, constantly worshipping Lord Rama. He will not change his mood for anything. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there was this devotee, an associate of Mahaprabhu, Murari Gupta. He is a Bhakta, Ram Bhakta. I hope I'm saying the name right. Murari Gupta was a devotee of Lord Rama. And Mahaprabhu asked him, chant Krishna, chant worship Krishna, do devotional service to Krishna. He said, I'll give up my life. He thought about it for a day. He came back. I'm ready to give up my life, but I cannot change my mood to worshipping any other Lord other than my Lord Ram. Same Hanuman. Hanuman will not give up his devotion to Lord Ram and change his devotion to Krishna or any other Vaikuntha Vishnu form. He will not. So one who have attained to that state of consciousness, they will not want to part it for anything. Mother Yashoda will remain Mother Yashoda. Gopis in the mood of conjugal love are gopis. This is their eternal constitutional position. That is what is called as eternal constitutional position. Okay?
Okay.
Makes sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So, and is it also for the other, like from Ram planet to say, go? I mean, just asking. I don't know if
Ram planet too?
any other like Narsimha planet or
Nobody will want to go for anywhere else other than their worshipable lords, unless there is a service. If they were given a service to do particular service in a particular universe, they may go there, come back. Their worshipable lord for eternity is Lord Ram, Lord Narsimha, Lord Vamana, Lord Varaha. We don't know whichever form they are worshipping their particular worshipable deity. I'll probably bring you that chart if I remember. I don't know how to bring that. Maybe I'll take a picture and show it. How different devotees are worshipping in different varshas, like I said. Our earth is just not one earth where we see this earth going from Pacific Ocean to east to west. It's not just that. Human beings are here, but there are other planets where other living entities are there doing devotional service to other forms of the Lord.
okay. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
So just quick question, Mataji. So it is only the Vishnu incarnation planets where anyone goes will remain as they are there. But then if they're going to like Shivloka or some other lokas, they'll fall down again and then attain their mukti by going to one of these Vishnu lokas, right?
I would not comment much on what happens with the Shivaloka because Shiva is a different category. He's a Shiva Tattva. Vishnu Tattva, Shiva Tattva, and Brahma and all others are the living entities. They are part of the marginal energy. They can become liberated or they can remain in the material world like that, Brahma. But Shiva is a category on his own. So in the Shiva Loka, if the devotees go, if they worship Shiva, they will remain in the Shiva Loka. But Shiva is also another Vishnu Tattva. The Shiva Tattva is also another Vishnu Tattva. So you should be careful to Vishnu, which Shiva we are talking about. Sadashiva is that Sadashiva who is a Vishnu Tattva. The Shivas that we see in this material world, there are different 11 Rudras are there. Different 11 forms of Rudra is there. They have different services to do at different. Annihilation happens by the Rudras. The Rudra potency executes and annihilation happens because annihilation Pralaya happens by Lord Shiva. So he has his abodes in various places in this entire manifestation. One is in the Sadashiva Loka, which is beyond the material world. Then there are some abodes within the material world, in Kailasha, in the material world, and like that. So he has his service to do when the Pralaya comes. So Sadashiva is also like another Vishnu Tattva, like I said. So they are eternal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So Mataji,
did you drop? Sorry.
Hare Krishna Mataji. It's my question actually.
Go ahead, Mataji.
My profession is in nursing, Mataji. I saw the most of the cases, like not cases, like I I saw so many bodies leaving their bodies, leaving their souls. So in India, it is different. After coming to Canada, it became different actually. So we cannot ask them to chant Hare Krishna. We cannot ask them at least do whatever you're doing spiritually. What I do after the family left, we need to pack the body for morgue actually. So that time, initially, I used to chant the holy names 3 times. I cannot chant more than that. And I used to pray to Krishna, Krishna, please take care of the soul. Or otherwise, Krishna, please give the life that this soul can do the devotion in next life. So here my question is that is right or wrong? Because out of my compassion, I am praying, but it's basically depends on the soul karma also, right? If I pray like that, is the soul get the life as a devotee, or Krishna will take care of that soul?
Very nice.
That's one question, Mataji.
That is the one question, or you have one more?
Other question I have.
Ah.
It's not related to this actually. I used to feed patients, my patients. They are all non-vegetarians. Then I cannot feed them. So mostly I ask PSW or my buddy nurse, can you help me? Because I cannot touch those whatever the food it is. If they're not busy, they help me. Okay, I'll come and feed your patient. If everyone is busy, no one is going to come to feed the patient. But it is my duty because that patient is my patient. I need to give the nutrition for the patient. So that time I have a conflict ethically and at the same time spiritually. I don't want to feed that food. At the same time, I have to feed for the welfare of the patient. So in that situation, what I have to do? What should I pray for to Krishna not to get any karma? That is one more question, Mataji.
Oh, typically, like you are hero, Mataji.
Oh my God!
Means,
Say
yeah,
that.
this is practical, right? With this, not all of us have that chance to see people who are dying. And you are able to chant for them. That's so profound, so compassionate. So devotees are like that, right? And Prabhupada has said, I created the mercy. You didn't have this qualification. I created the mercy for you. So Prabhupada has created the mercy. So that mercy potency acts on the devotees, definitely. So what you are praying to Krishna on behalf of the soul is to give the soul an opportunity to do devotion, so at least get a human form of the body in the next life and do devotion service. So if that is given to them, then it's you are the agent which has made that possible for that soul, because the soul, who knows where the soul was going otherwise. They are traveling down the path, down the hill, right? And it is never ending place. So that is it is your purity, it is your consciousness, it is your devotion that acts as the agent for the law to intervene and give a better place for that soul. Now, everyone has an opportunity at every given point. Like throughout, we all have our free will. Everyone has a free will, right? So we'll exercise our free will in certain ways. So that potency of mercy that has dawned on that soul, maybe he will get an inclination to do devotional service because of your blessing, because of your prayers. Krishna's mercy might act in such a way that he will get some inclination to do devotional service. And maybe he will get an association of the devotees. And the journey starts for them. After that, it is their own. Yes, we do this creation of mercy. We become the mercy agents and distribute this mercy in the world by distribution also. So not everyone is qualified. People are not ready to even accept you, but whatever they have, we are trying to create that by the potency of Lord Chaitanya, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we are doing that. So it's the same thing, Mataji. You can continue to do that. You can pray for the soul to even develop the inclination to do bhakti. Even what if they just get the body and association, maybe they can have some inclination. That can be the prayer also. Because without the inclination, Krishna will not intervene also, right? He will create everything. He'll give you association of the devotees. He will ensure you'll get a human body. But unless you want to do it, the desire is there, Krishna will not interfere. Krishna will be very objective. He will not interfere. So our prayer can be for the soul to develop the inclination to become inclined to the devotional service. And from there, the journey starts. After that, it is not you or him, it is him and Krishna. And that journey continues like that. So that's the first answer. I hope that clarifies a bit and gives some.
Definitely, Mataji. That's very fantastic explanation, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. And the next one is about your service, right? Like, then this is only our service. Like, you can pray to Krishna earnestly on such days when you didn't get help to do that service. I know it's obviously breaking one of the regulative principles right away, because we know from the karma that chain of people who are there in this path, whoever cooks, eats, whatnot. Like, we have seen that in the purports. But what can we do? It's your part of the duty. You can pray to Krishna honestly on such days when this doesn't happen, and pray that you always get his help in such cases. It's all the prayer, Mataji. You continue to pray. It's a prayerful mood will help you to not have such situations. And we all can also pray for you, because it's not easy to do such jobs. I know there are some devotees who change their professions just because of this situation, but not everyone can do that. It is very hard. So we will also pray for you, Mataji, in that way, so that you don't get that situations where you have to do this thing, which is very hard for us to do. I hope that
I did change so many units in the hospital, Mataji, because some of the units we don't get the chance to escape from that feeling. That's why I changed it from medicine to surgery to so many units actually. Now I'm in cardiology. I don't get most of the patients to feed by myself. But I struggled that situation, Mataji. I don't know, like, what should I do? If any other nurse sees me, because some of the food has veggies and some soup, kind of like that. I used to feed the patient only the veggies and soup. I don't want to feed that one. If any nurse sees me, she's not my friend, she's going to complain to the higher authority. I don't want that type of headache. That's why I used to ask everyone, and if nothing is happening, and then I pray to Krishna inside, like, Krishna, please forgive me. I'm not doing this is for my sense gratification, whatever it may be. I'm doing it is for my sense and for my family. I used to feed them, Mataji. Then so much of guilt is there in the heart, like why I did feed them. Like after I did that feeding, so much of guilty will be there. I used to once I come home, I used to chant most of the time for my clearance, like karma clearance, satisfaction. I used to do that one, but really, I'm thinking like I need to change one more unit. Maybe I should not go to see the patients again like that.
So this is the case now also, or it was in the past?
It's happening, sometimes happens now also, but previously every day I have this one. Struggle. In India, I used to say like, okay, can you feed? Because in India, most of the people are Hindus. They know like, okay, this lady, she don't touch any of the meat. They used to feed. I can say to in India, I can tell the family. There is no family most of the time. The patient family, they don't come and visit often.
Right.
We need to feed them here, and we cannot say like we cannot say to the patient, I cannot feed this. It's good away.
Yeah, the prayer, Mataji, prayer, asking devotees prayers also, and honestly beg Krishna for forgiveness and not have the situation. That's all we can.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice explanation. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yashida Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. I only wanted to know is there any update on the shloka test? Because Hladini Mataji had put a poll. So was that decided? Like
That you will have
Saturday or
it
Sunday?
on like splitting the verses. Is that your question?
Yeah. And she had put a poll for the final day. So is that decided? The final day will be Saturday or Sunday or
I think it was a poll who wants to avail that opportunity, if I'm not wrong. If you want to split it and say it before some and later some, that was an opportunity given. But if you want to do everything at the end, that is anyway there towards the end. I
no,
thought,
but even for the split, there was a poll whether it will happen on Saturday or Sunday. So I'm just asking if there
oh,
is
I'll
any
ask her
update.
to update on it. One of your calls. Okay,
Okay.
send an email, but I will ask. I'll text her.
Okay, Mataji. And yeah, for the closed book exam also, like Devi Mataji and we all had asked you if it can be just one day, like it can be on Sunday instead of Saturday, April 6th instead of 5. So if there is any update,
But
or like if
other
you can just
devotees,
request.
oh, you want to, is everyone okay with Sunday? I think one devotee said, Uma Mataji said she is not comfortable because she has something else on that day.
Yeah, I think only her.
What is the
But
situation for 6th, the Saturday? Is there anything that you already have planned? Because we have time now, we can plan for 5th Saturday. Because
yeah, I mean, it's not like that, but whole weekdays working, like I can talk about myself. So for me, Fridays is working, and then I have my headaches on weekdays, and so waking up to the test on Saturday is a bit hard.
I got that. So it's
But
because Sunday, you'll get Sunday in
yeah,
the Saturday.
exactly. One day for, I mean, just
Right.
rest.
I'll convey that. Yeah. Okay, fine. I got that
Yeah.
point now.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Palak Mataji?
So Mataji, I wanted to follow up on the question where we were discussing that uh, people, the soul ends up with who he uh, prays to. So, for example, be it Shiva planet, be it Ram planet, or any other planet. I think we also discussed that all of this matters till the time the annihilation and an annihilation happens, correct? So it's all about by that moment, where are you? So I want to know that what happens to the soul when the unannihilation happens by the, I think it's Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, right? Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So when the unannihilation happens, when we are on the, when the soul is on the demigod planets or any other incarnation planets, what happens at that moment? Is the soul destroyed or what happens?
No, I said the spiritual planets, Vaikuntha planets, no annihilation happens. Vaikuntha planets. This is only from um, beyond Brahma Jyoti. Coming down from Brahma Jyoti is where the annihilation happens. Universal planet only destroys, not the spiritual world. Spiritual world, eternal. Whether Vaikuntha planets of Narsimha, Vamana, Varaha, Ayodhya is where Lord Ram resides. Goloka is where Krishna resides. Then other incarnations of the Lord, expansions, the planetary portions and the various incarnations of Lord Krishna, they have their own planets and they are all eternal. There is nothing touching them. They are all eternally existing. They are there. Okay? Annihilation does not touch them. Annihilation happens to the material universe. That we are part of it.
So does that mean when Brahma dies, if we are in the spiritual world of any demigod as well, we will remain there and they're eternal?
If you have perfected your life, you have gone back to Godhead. That's what going back to Godhead means. Your soul has gone back to Godhead. That means you don't have birth, death, old age that we experience in this material world.
But we discussed that when Brahma dies, the demigods also die.
We are not talking, you're talking about demigods or you're talking about Vaikunthas, planets. Vishnu Tattvas, demigods are different. They're separate.
Can you explain the difference that who would be classified in demigods and who would be classified in the Vaikuntha planets?
Vaikuntha planets are the Vishnu Tattvas. Vishnu Tattvas are, there are a number of Vishnu incarnations of Vishnu also, right? Like Vamana, I'm just saying, we say Madhusudana, Narasimha, um, Shankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. These are all the Vaikuntha expansions or the Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna in different, there are different expansions. So they all have their eternal abodes in the spiritual sky. They are not touched by the annihilation. There's nothing called annihilation there. It is all eternally existing. Annihilation happens starting from Brahma's planet, which is coming down. When you come down, then there is, like I said, there is Sadashiva planet, which is the next layer of Vaikuntha planets. Followed by that is Devi Dham. Followed by that is impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Followed by that is the 7 coverings of the universe. Followed by that is the material creation, where our planet is one such. Our universal creation is, our universe is one such. Like that, there are innumerable universal creations, which is 1/4 of the entire creation. 3/4 is the spiritual creation, what I explained, which is the spiritual world, Vaikuntha planets. That's 3/4. And 1/4 is this material world. So when the Brahma's lifetime is over, Brahma will go back to Godhead depending on his consciousness, or he will remain, or he will, whatever happens. For everything else, they all go back into the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Sorry, not Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Karanodakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Karanodakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu, who is in the causal ocean. The universe go into the body of causal Mahavishnu, which is Karana. He resides in the Karana ocean. The body, all the universal forms go back into his body. And at the expansion, when he inhales, exhales, then the universe creates, right? That is when Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters into each of, he won't leave the universe just like that. He will enter along with the universe in the form of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And that's from his lotus navel, lotus stem comes up and Brahma comes, takes birth in that lotus. And from there the creation happens and all that. And he enters in each and every soul as Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So when the universal destruction happens, the universe becomes like a amalgamation into a seed form. It enters into the body of Mahavishnu.
So, Mataji, if let's just say by the end when Brahma is dying and if we are still there in the material world, if eventually we will end up in the body of Mahavishnu after that, so isn't that also equivalent to liberation? That even if you keep repeating the cycle of birth
Sleeping
and death?
stage, Susupti. We have not perfected our stage, but we have to be some place, we go into the body of Mahavishnu. It's called Susupti. It's eternally, it's a sleeping stage. We have not realized God. We didn't have a choice because annihilation happened. Then we'll go into the body of the Mahavishnu.
And what's wrong with going into the body of Mahavishnu?
You'll come back again into this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. The creation happens based on your inclinations, based on your consciousness remains. Body changes. The consciousness, with that consciousness, you will be given a chance to continue in this other body, in the other universe. Then you can perfect, you'll go back to Godhead. If not, you'll continue in that.
Not. Thank you, Mataji.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, could I ask one quick but silly question? I was just thinking, in the spiritual planet, is there any ability for you to transmigrate from one Vaikuntha to a different Vaikuntha, like a different form of the Lord, or because you worship the Lord in whichever form, so you'll stay in Golok Vrindavan, you can't go to Ayodhya. Because Narada Muni, he's a Mahajan, and I know he travels from one planet to the other, so this is what kind of got me that curiosity. I wanted to ask you.
Narada Muni is Mahajan, he travels. That is his benediction, he travels. But the devotees who are in that planet, who have developed that rasa towards that particular deity form of the Lord, they don't want to change their rasa for anything in the world. They don't want. What to speak of what they will go into next? They don't want. They are totally satisfied doing that bhajan to that particular deity. Example, Hanuman. Hanuman does not want to become Krishna Bhakta. He will eternally want to be Rama Bhakta only, forever. That eternity it's incomprehensible with our tiny brains. It's forever. He will be Ram Bhakta only forever. Similarly,
Thank you.
Prahlad Maharaj, he will be Narsimha Bhakta only.
Thank you. I was just wondering that, so thank you for clarifying that.
Some pictures are shared. Anything that we want to discuss on these pictures? No, right? I think you can download if it allows. Study them. If you have any questions, we can take it up next. Okay. Thank you all very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Anchakalpatarubhyascha kapasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakuti vaishnaviki jai shloka Bharati. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day and see you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hari Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji.